Hey guys, how's it going, and welcome back to another one of my videos. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to change the spark plugs on your 1997 Mazda Miata. This is going to work for pretty much any single Miata. I'm talking 1989 to really 2018. They're fairly similar with just a very minute difference. Obviously the new generation, they have coil-on packs compared to older generations would have distributor packs and coil plugs. So a bit different, but really following this video you should be able to do it yourself. It's super simple, especially on a Miata. Really a lot of the stuff on these cars is pretty simple and straightforward. So let's get onto it. But before that, let me explain why you want to change your spark plug on your car. Spark plugs are insanely critical. They provide the spark which ignites your fuel, and they need to be in tip-top condition. Or else you're not going to burn the fuel correctly. You could end up stuffing your cat with excess fuel, and then you need a new catalytic converter, and those can go in the hundreds and even thousands of dollars depending on the vehicle. And you can get better fuel economy because, again, when you're burning the fuel and burning all the fuel, you're kind of maximizing the potential of the fuel, and therefore you don't need excess fuel to kind of compensate for your lack of spark that's happening. Some people like to change spark plugs with the wires. I don't change wires unless I see them damaged or unless I change the spark plugs and I have some sort of misfire. In this car I don't have a misfire. It's just preventative maintenance. I'm doing a bunch on it, and I thought I'd help you guys, and I'm sure somebody out there would appreciate this video. So let's get right into it. So guys, these are the spark plugs that I'm going to be using. They're NGK Iridium. I'm a big fan of NGK. I really don't like to buy any other spark plugs apart from NGK. And of course I go with the Iridiums because Iridium are really almost the best you can buy. There are laser plugs, which are a step above, and they're good, but they're really unnecessary. You also don't want to go spending around money on spark plugs that aren't just going to do anything for your car. But Iridium is really the best you can get when it comes to these Miatas, and I highly recommend them. They are the more expensive ones, so these will set you back about $30. You can go, and there are spark plugs for $2 each, so you'd spend probably a total of $10 with tax and everything. But if you want to do it right, I love these NGK Iridiums. I recommend them for everyone who's tuning up their car because they last over 100,000 miles, and they get the most performance out of it. So to begin with, to change the spark plugs, it's very simple. We've got 4 cylinders on this car, obviously, and what we're going to do is just take off these coil plugs, and they can be pretty hard to get to. What happens is the rubber practically welds itself around the lip over here. So just give it a good tug. You want to make sure you don't damage the wire though, so make sure you grab it from the sides and not just from the wire up top. So just kind of wiggle them around, break them free, and just keep pushing on them, and they will eventually come out. So take all 4 of these out, and also make sure that there's nothing around these holes. You don't want anything to kind of drop into it, and then just place them off to the side. So I'm kind of showing you guys these because this is kind of the next step after taking the packs off and the distributor wires off, is you're going to need a spark plug special socket. Now I know a lot of old-timer guys, they say that you can just use any socket, and they're right. You can use any 5/8, which is the size of the Miata. See if that focuses. You can use any 5/8 and you'll get it, but and you can get the spark plug out. But the reason I like using these special spark plug sockets is because they actually have built-in rubber grommets inside of them. I don't know how well you can see that, and they actually latch onto the spark plug when you take them out. So when you unscrew the spark plug, the socket will actually catch that spark plug and pick it up with it, rather than having to get a magnet and putting it in there. But certainly any 5/8 socket will work just as well. So what we're going to do next is we're going to take this and we're going to place a long extension above it, and we're just going to thread that into the hole and use our ratchet and ratchet it out. So guys, one thing I should mention is that you want to be very careful when taking these things out. Especially if you're doing it on a hot engine. I always recommend people to replace their spark plugs on a cold engine. The thing is aluminum, when it gets hot, it actually expands, and you could damage the thread on the aluminum if you were to change your spark plugs on a hot engine. So what I like to do is just have it sit for about an hour and then go outside. That way the aluminum block kind of cools and the head kind of cools down, and you won't run the risk of damaging the threads. So they don't usually require a lot of torque, if they were done correctly, of course, but some can be pretty stuck on. So just unscrew them, and then, like I said, they become fairly simple to take out. And here's number one. And as you can see, it's in pretty bad shape. We can tell that because there is no point. The point is virtually gone. Let me see if I can get some good lighting behind that. You know, it's virtually gone, the tip of it, and that's not good. I'll kind of show you guys a good spark plug as reference. So you guys might be able to tell, you know, this one has a very pointy tip. It's the iridium tip that's on it, and as you can see on this one, it's virtually destroyed, and that's not good. You know, it goes to show that this engine was worn out. They are NGKs. They aren't iridium. I think these are the platinum and the double platinum G edition, I believe. But these are iridium, and they're going to be a lot better. People say you should gap them. These, you know, when you go to auto parts store, they already come pre-gapped, so you don't really need to gap them. And I really don't like gapping spark plugs, especially on iridium and platinum plugs, because you can actually destroy the tip. If you have a gapping tool, it's like a circle, and you just put it on there and you pry it upwards to move this gap up. But the thing is you're leaning it on this tip. And I've seen a lot of guys end up breaking them because they put too much pressure on them. So I don't like to gap my spark plugs. I think they're fine. Usually, you know, you can usually tell then if the car is misfiring or something like that, and then if they are, maybe you can go back and gap them or find wherever that issue's coming from. But you know, they're good to go. A lot of people put anti-seize on them. I also don't do that, just because these are all zinc plated. They tell you that on the box. All new spark plugs come with zinc plating. They don't rust, and they're always easy to take out because they're zinc plated. So let's go put this guy back in. Well, first of all, let's kind of go take the rest of them out. I'll zoom fast forward that. I'll take all of them out, and then we'll put all of them back in. So now would actually be a really good time to check the compression of your engine. Since you've got, you know, spark plugs out, you could put a compression tester down. Now on the spark plugs, because this is again aluminum, I just like to put my hand on the top of the ratchet and tighten it as much as possible. Obviously you're not going to get a lot of torque out of that, but that's kind of exactly the point. You want enough torque to the point where it's tight, but you don't want to over tighten these. So I don't really grab the handle, I just, you know, use it on the top and call that plenty. So well, I'm going to go and do the rest now. So the next thing we're doing, obviously, is putting back all of the coil plugs on. I know a lot of people like to label which one goes where, but really, as you can see, each one's got a certain length, and if you misplace one of them, the other one isn't going to reach correctly. So I'm okay with not labeling them. Make sure they snap in correctly, and yeah, that should be it. So guys, as you guys might be able to see, this was a super easy job, but it's so important to do, and it has so many good results at the end of it. So Very straightforward. Of course, if you run into any issues, comment below and I'll make sure to help you guys as much as possible. I know that sometimes taking these out isn't as easy as it sounds, and you can actually have a lot of problems, like a spark plug breaking off, or it getting threaded in or destroying the threads and you have to rethread them. So leave a comment down below, and of course I'll be sure to answer them to the best of my knowledge. Thank you guys very much for watching.